I don't know, we just built this beautiful foundation that a marriage could stand on, you know. Built friendship, had fun, learned each other, learned what we liked, learned what we didn't like, stuff like that. Brought community in, which was the biggest gift to us, was like having people that are so much wiser and not in the infatuation stage of things, looking in and giving us insight and wisdom and like just ways to do things well. Stewarding our hearts really well before the Lord and communicating our little heinies off. Yeah. What's up, guys? Welcome to our podcast. We're so stoked that you guys are joining us today. We are going to talk about preparing for marriage, which is really fun. This is my husband, Josiah. I'm Riely, and we're here with our friends, Taylor and Allegra. Y'all tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Well, we just hit 4 years of marriage.
That's a big deal.
Got married in January of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And yeah, you have anything to add?
No.
Just very big.
That's so beautiful. So they're farther ahead than we are. We are a whole whopping 6 months in. Pow, go team. And we love it. Marriage is such a beautiful, beautiful gift.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to just talk about a couple like really basic, practical things for people that are wanting to get married. How did you guys prepare for marriage even before you were dating? Do y'all have something there?
So we started dating. I got encountered by the Lord in 2018 and dove right into ministry school. And it was really just the sovereignty of the Lord of preparing me for marriage. I was in ministry school for about a year. And then after that year, right after, met Taylor and then started dating. But it was just really the sovereignty of the Lord of like, having him be my first thing.
That's it. Let's go. Come on.
And just becoming so in love with him.
Yes.
And just on fire for the Lord and so hungry for him. Like I was just marked with hunger for the Lord, and like I wasn't even thinking about dating or anything. Like I had plans of being married and all this stuff, but it was never like something I was trying to pursue. But it was really cool when we did start dating. Just to hear Taylor, his kind of background of like, you can share like just how he prayed for me when he didn't know me. So you can share like, when you were, what happened.
Yeah, totally. I got out of high school, and when I graduated high school, I joined YWAM. And
solid.
Got into a relationship in YWAM, and probably not the best, or actually it wasn't. We totally were, not doing what we should have been doing in a relationship in a ministry school. And so after
ministry school doesn't cover it all.
No, it really doesn't. And that was like the thing. Like I was in high school, and I told the Lord, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do my life because you're not showing up in the way that I expected you to. So I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And I got into a relationship in high school. Gave my life back to the Lord towards the end of my senior year, and then went into ministry school and had this idea of, cool, I'm in ministry school. And so like, I can just go and do whatever, and as long as I don't cross these lines, then like I'm fine because I'm in ministry school. Right. I don't know. Like it was the mindset. And so me and this girl were dating, and one thing led to another, and obviously we were just sleeping around. And and so I kind of like held that out my whole outreach phase and didn't really tell anyone. And ended up bringing it to my main leader, and afterwards, I finished my DTS, and I moved on, and I ended up moving down to IHOP after this summer for a 4-month internship with the Fire in the Night program.
Beautiful.
And in that, just really, it was funny because like every Christian leader I had ever had, I used them as a crutch to
come
meet the
on.
Lord, right?
Let's go, Taylor.
And it was like my first week, and I come to my leader in IHOP, and he just goes, "So what do you want me to do about your problems?" And I was like, "What do you mean? You're gonna walk me through it, right? Like, I need inner healing." And he was just like, "Yeah, but I can't be there for the rest of your life. So go and meet the one that like is."
Oh, let's go.
And
Come on.
it was, and I was just like so offended. And he's like, "Yeah, you can
Wow.
be offended, but now go deal with your offense, and then go deal with your problems in the prayer room."
Come
And I was
on.
like, "Oh man."
Praise God.
You know, like best thing, right?
Yeah.
But
Also, ouch.
yeah, also very ouch.
So
and but yeah, just met the Lord and really made that real.
on.
And it was really cool, like, because I just remember back to what she was saying was just there was just this one night where I had this revelation of just like, oh, I want to be married, and kind of like similar, like I don't have anything to like give my wife.
Yeah,
And
come on.
so what do I do? And just really feeling the Lord just be like, you can pray for her.
That's
and so
right. Let's
yeah,
go.
and I was just like, cool. Then the next woman I date, and I'm not guaranteeing that she's going to be the one that like I marry, but
Yeah.
like I pretty much want the next woman I date to be the one that I marry.
Let's go.
And so I spent got married about 2 years after that, and I can honestly say at least about like 90% of those 2 years, like I prayed for her like
Come on.
daily and multiple times a day, and like fervently like praying for her, because I was like, oh, I know, like this is gonna be my wife, so
Let's go.
I'm gonna pray for her. I'm gonna war for her even before I know her. And it was cool because going into, I don't know if we talked about it much when we were dating, but definitely like after we got married, just hearing a lot of like the encounters and the experiences that she had. And I wish I journaled like what I would pray.
Come on, yeah.
But like just hearing them, I was like, oh my gosh, like that's what I used to pray for my wife.
I
That
prayed
she
for
would,
this thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
let's
I
go.
would pray like that she would be radically encountered and like would just be stirred in the middle of the night or whatever it
Yeah,
was.
come on.
And just like that the Lord would meet her. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so beautiful.
Yeah,
So
I'm
beautiful.
like crying like
I
Come
love
on.
it. Sis.
but like when he didn't share this right away after we started dating, but like I would hear like at this time, around this time of the year, this, he would pray this thing, and I would look back and be like, that's when I had that encounter, like that's when I like got met with the fire of God, and like
Come on.
and like even that 2-year period, like it started a year before that I actually had the encounter. I started a year before being like, God, like I need you. Like I actually need you, and I can't do anything without you. And then a year later have that encounter, and it just like lines up with his prayers.
Come on.
Which even
Let's
that,
go.
like, I would pray, like, Lord, if she doesn't know you, like, in
That's
these
it.
times, like,
Come on.
stir the thoughts, stir the, like, wonderings
Yeah.
of what is out there and who am I and who is God.
That's so good.
Come on.
I think I absolutely, like, I remember in the moments I would be praying for, didn't know it was him at the time, but for him, I would be like, or any moment that I was even aching, like knowing I knew probably in 2013 that I was going to get married one day. It was when I started praying for my husband. But I never had like an ache to get married. When did y'all get married? How old were you?
We were both
21. I
21.
had just turned 21.
Okay, I was 29. He was 26. And I didn't have like an ache to get married till I was probably 27. And I just remember in the aching being like, okay, like I would pray because I knew that as I was aching that the Lord was also preparing my husband, you know? And I just think if there's hope for anybody out there that's like, where is this man? Just know that the Lord's preparing him, you
Yeah,
know?
it's
Where
true.
is this woman? Like there is a person out there. And the Lord is actually doing a work, and you get the gift of like praying for their lives. It's so cool.
Yeah.
What was it like? What would you do? What'd you do to prepare for marriage?
It sounds like the common theme is prayer
Yeah.
and just being with the Lord. And that is definitely aligned with with my story as well.
Yeah.
I came out of a relationship, and I had 9 months, and I tell everybody it was me, the Lord, and my dog. And so it was just a season of being with the Lord and sitting in prayer, but then also bringing in community. Like, community was a huge role in that, because I felt so exhausted coming out of the season that I was in of a previous relationship. And so, I mean, the preparation was letting people in, community, allowing people to speak into my life. But then I prayed 3 scary prayers, I always say, in those few months preparing. And one of them was like, Lord, I don't want to see a single female until it's my wife, and Lord was faithful in that. I didn't see a single female with any eyes of like, oh, who is that, until it was my wife.
It was a double take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
like,
so
he was double took.
And so just in that season was just like sitting with the Lord and like,
come on,
almost reestablishing and allowing him to speak identity into me, because it was so broken down from the past one. So, so reestablishing that, reaffirming, allowing him to speak into my life. And then it was like, okay, now I know and stand firm into who I am and who he calls me, and then now I'm ready. That was the season that fully prepared me for marriage. So
that's so good. I think mine's so similar to yours. Like, I didn't date around at all by any means, because I just didn't have any desire to. I was like, I feel like when I know, I'm gonna know. And I had like tiny little relationships or times that I would talk to guys just out of interest. But then, like, the 4 years before I met you, I just didn't date anybody. And the Lord was everything to me. Like, he was my lover. He was my best friend. He was like I was so satisfied in who he was and in who he was making me to be, that I was like, okay, like, when it's time, and it's time, And the beauty of that was when we did actually like get engaged and get ready to get married, there was actually like this grief for a moment of like, oh, it's not just going to be you and me anymore, Lord, which ended up being a funny, like, we both hit that. But then we were like, oh, the Lord is even more in our, like, it was, we got added on to, But that was like how I prepared. I think a big thing for me was like stewarding purity to the best of my ability. I was like, I want to be able to be like, just like when the Lord comes back, like for a pure and spotless bride, I'm like, what does it look like, God, for me, even in my purity, in my thoughts, in my actions, like the things that I'm watching, the things that I'm not, the words that I'm saying, the ways that I'm talking to people. Like, purity was a really big one for me, where I was like, I want to be able to come into marriage as pure as I can, and washed by the blood and just like living holy given. So that was
awesome.
fun. Okay, so y'all met, you start dating, you're gonna get married whenever that hit. What were some of the things you guys did to prepare for marriage in like a short?
I mean, so I think our story is a little bit, I guess, unique in a way.
Come on.
We got married 6 months after we started dating. Like, literally.
I love it. You're one of those.
And we only knew each other like, what, a month?
A month and a half,
Wow.
before we started dating. And half of that I was in Brazil.
Okay.
That's amazing.
Let's go.
So it's an interesting story. We got married on our 6-month anniversary. So like, it was just, I think we were just carried by the grace of God of just like, we knew we were going to get married. Like, I literally, I wasn't sure up until like deciding to date him, because he was sure from the moment he saw me, he was sure. And I think it was the Lord too, of like, I feel like he honestly like blinded my eyes of like to see him. We became good friends first. And I didn't see him as, you know, a romantic partner. But then I think that was partly because he allowed him to just pursue me. And that was like a big thing, like in our dating. Like I would just weep just because I got a fresh revelation of how Jesus pursues like his bride.
Even that, like it was funny because we were honestly like, you know, she just loves the sun, you know, she's, you know, Hispanic. And so, so her skin just loves the sun. But anyways, she wanted a summer wedding, summer, fall wedding, you know?
Isn't that a funny thing that like comes into when you get married?
Right.
Yeah. And you know, like we're in California, so like really any time of the year kind of works. Yeah. But you know, whatever. And so we're like, okay, cool. We're planning on like this wedding to be the following summer.
Yeah.
And we're just in prayer, and this was actually even before I proposed. We had bought the ring already. I just wanted to make her wait. And so
she waited a long time, those 6 months, let me tell you.
We bought the ring together, and I made her wait 2 months till I like proposed.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I didn't really do it on purpose. I lost track of time. I don't know. It was super weird because we were already planning the wedding. So I was like, we're basically engaged, whatever. But so we were just praying, and we ended up just feeling like the Lord really told us to like get married in January of 2020. Because we were gonna get married in the summer of 2020.
Let's go, Lord.
And everyone's like, "This is crazy."
Wow.
Yeah. Got a lot of like almost opposition to getting married.
Yeah.
Like we felt it a lot, so it was a hard season. But we just did not feel peace for whatever reason. We know now, but we did not know why we didn't feel peace on waiting to get married.
Yeah.
And so we're like, well, I was in school, so I was like, well, I have winter break and I have summer break. And so it's got to be winter break then. And January 8th happened to be our 6-month anniversary. So we're like, cool, let's do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, definitely, I guess, like, just hearing the Lord and being sensitive to, like, what is he doing, you know, because we could have missed it, and it would have been really stressful. It would have been really hard to try and go through COVID and, wedding and just housing, like, because it was crazy. We were in California. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah, insane.
So, yeah.
I love it.
What about you guys?
I love it. Yeah, what did we do to prepare for marriage? Yeah. Gosh, I think we were really intentional in building a foundation. And we kind of talked about it in a previous podcast, but like we weren't in any rush. We were just really leaned into going at the pace that the Lord had for us. And I always told my family, I was like, yo, once I meet him, it's going to be 6 months. You know what I mean? So I love that y'all actually were. And then I realized probably 6 months in, I was like, oh, praise God, I didn't do that. That was not it for me and for what the Lord is on or for him. But really just like building a foundation of honor, building trust, realizing that, okay, if this is it, which is what it was at the beginning, even though we both had like an inkling and a knowing of like, okay, this is it, we really intentionally went, even like what we shared with each other. Like I didn't tell him that I was talking to the Lord about those things, and he didn't share. He shared, I'm pursuing you for marriage. Praise God, he said that just to make it clear. But it wasn't like we weren't sharing our words in the moment. It was like, I don't know, we just built this beautiful foundation that a marriage could stand on, you know? Built friendship, had fun, learned each other, learned what we liked, learned what we didn't like, stuff like that. Brought community in, which was the biggest gift to us, was like having people that are so much wiser and not in the infatuation stage of things, looking in and giving us insight and wisdom and like just ways to do things well. Stewarding our hearts really well before the Lord and communicating our little heinies off. Yeah, that's really what it was. I
thought community was probably the biggest help in all of that. Because like you said, I mean, you definitely hit the infatuation stage. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
this person, and she's so cool, and she's so fun, and I'm getting all these downloads of what the Lord's telling me about her, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this is so cool, and I'm experiencing it myself. But to have people that know each of you individually
Big.
and have the open door to like speak into you and to be like, oh, are you sure you want to do that? Because that doesn't seem like it's in line with you. And then you're like, oh, okay, you receive the correction, and then it strengthens and builds that foundation in your dating relationship, carrying into marriage, you know?
Yeah.
So I thought community was huge for us.
So good. Yeah. And like a super quick, do you guys have any resources that you used during that season of time?
Not that we used during that time,
Okay.
but like that we could recommend now.
Now?
Because like,
Give them to me in
man.
like a quick
Yeah.
checklist.
I mean, well, you said a lot, like, get discipled during that
Yeah.
time. Like,
Yeah.
just get it, find
Yeah.
it, ask people to be discipled, hang around other married couples.
Yeah.
He lived in community living, which you can talk to that a little bit if
I
you
think
want.
community living's great because it,
Especially at
prepares you. Yeah.
20.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
but yeah, being discipled too, especially because like you were saying, of just you need people that have the freedom to like speak into your life that are outside.
Yeah.
That's just like that's super key.
Yeah.
Super good.
And like now in marriage, we've been just getting into stuff. Like we're 4 years in, we're like, we really need to, like, we need tools.
Come on. Yeah.
And so we've recently gotten into connection codes.
Yes. I love
Glenn
that.
and Phyllis Hill.
Come on.
They have a book. It's great. They have a
Yeah.
podcast. That's awesome.
Let's go.
That's good.
I also found helpful for me the book Nonviolent Communication, which is just to preface, like, it's not Christian, like, it's not necessarily Christian, but it was really helpful to me to like be able to communicate feelings in a way that's not like putting the blame on someone else, but it's just identifying what's going on inside of me.
Beautiful.
So
I
yeah.
love that. Those are super good.
Yeah.
I love connection codes so much. Another one is Dates, Mates, and Babies by the Valentins.
Yep.
It's a solid podcast for in and before marriage. Marriage Lab by the Zints. I love that one. What you got? The Bible.
I was gonna say the same thing. Josiah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you guys, in like 30 seconds or less each, just tell me like if there's anything that you want to share about marriage? Give like I know it's a good challenge, but we'll get to touch on this again. At some point.
Yeah. You want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, I just go back to Genesis. Learning the beginning is always helpful to like understand what's going on now, like how God created marriage. So just understanding that when God created Adam and Eve, it was to like complement each other. It was to like almost counteract like what you were missing, like I have, what I'm missing, you have. And like to view marriage in that way is key for me.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Just communication's super key.
Huge.
Because like, at least for me, I'm not the most well versed in communicating, especially like emotions. And like I don't know, especially for guys, like there's so much shame in communicating emotions, but just push through it and do it.
Yeah.
Because the sooner you do it, the sooner you communicate emotions. The connection codes talks about like it builds dams. The longer that you do it, and for me, like I'm a dam builder, and like I really am, and then like your dams burst, and then it creates a lot of destruction.
Come on.
And so just right now, like year 4, learning to just walk through emotions and
Let's go.
and just trust her.
Always
So
learning.
good.
Yeah,
That's
trust your
beautiful.
partner. that
What
they
you
love
got, babe?
Definitely always seek connection.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Like you guys two becoming one.
Yeah.
You don't want to feel that tension of like that separation. And so seeking connection, an intimate connection, I will say too. But yeah, definitely a lot of that comes through communication,
Yeah.
which is a beautiful way for men to lead
Yeah.
in that. But yeah, communication, clarity.
Yeah.
Like if something is rubbing wrong,
Come
then
on.
it's like, hey, speak it out, you know, bring
Yeah.
things to light.
Yeah, I love that. I think realize and recognize the treasure that you have just been given in another human being, and that it's like I get to be his biggest championer, and I get to pray for his life and believe in his life, even bigger than he does, you know. And it's just a huge gift, and it's marriage is just the sweetest, most fun, beautiful adventure. All right, we are so grateful that y'all watched. Don't worry, we're gonna have probably more into some marriage stuff because we know we got plenty more we could dive into here.
Yeah.
But thanks so much for watching. We'll have plenty more coming your way, and we're grateful to see you.
Subscribe, like,
Good job.
comment, share.
All the
Yep.
Post.
Bye.